All right, when we talk about productivity, what does it mean to be productive? I think the simple, quick answer is to be efficient, to move the needle, to gain that 1% every day. So cleaning up and organizing your desk is not being productive. Getting home from work and laying on the couch when everybody else is home is not being productive. Organizing the pile of papers on your desk is not being productive. Sorry. There's plenty of videos about productivity and tools and resources, but what is Christian productivity? I mean, Christianity is a faith, it's a religion. Is there Muslim productivity and Jewish productivity? Well, I suppose maybe there is. But what I can tell you is Christianity looks through a different lens, a different worldview. And that worldview has an impact on how they deal with people and relationships, their work, their health, and their money. So today I want to share with you how my Christian worldview affects my productivity so that maybe you can look through a different lens as well. Now, a worldview is made up of lots of different questions and answers and categories, but there's two main focuses for me when it comes to productivity: God, obviously, and people. When it comes to getting things done, I try my best to consider these two categories. But trust me, I'm far from perfect in doing that. When it comes to being productive and looking through the lens of my God, I typically try to ask, how can I glorify God in whatever it is I'm doing? And for me, that simple go-to answer is doing the highest quality work that I can. I'll admit that this might be a little bit easier for me because I work full-time at a nonprofit ministry. So it's kind of a part of our everyday work to ask how we can be serving God. But whether you are in ministry or not, if you're in the fast food industry or construction or finance, we can all be asking, how can I glorify God in what I'm doing? How can I do the highest quality work? And Christians should do the highest quality work because it is a great reflection of the God we serve. I mean, He made you, and well, you're high quality. So on the surface, there's really not a whole lot that's Christian about that. But the difference is we can make that high quality work an act of worship to God. I know we typically think of worship as what we do in church on Sunday, singing, listening to the sermon, maybe volunteering in the kids ministry. But worship is a matter of the heart and the mind. If we have that approach, anything we do can be an act of worship to God. So when it comes to being productive, I can glorify God by doing the highest quality work as an act of worship to Him. Okay, I had to interrupt my own video real quick because as I was editing, I heard about something that supposedly is a new trend called quiet quitting. And I don't know if this really is as popular as it sounded, but quiet quitting is when somebody intentionally does the absolute minimum amount of work at their job. We used to call that laziness or apathy. But they do only what's required. They never go beyond expectations or take any kind of additional initiative. So from what I understand, it's supposed to be some kind of rebellion against productivity and hustle culture. I 100% agree that we should not be working ourselves to death. It's really important for us to have time with friends and family to recover from the work week and start a new week. But this whole idea of quiet quitting seems to be at the opposite end of the spectrum of what I'm suggesting to you. I don't think it's glorifying to God or even obedient or even an act of worship for us to do the bare minimum. So honestly, if that's the way you feel, I think it's time to look for a different job, because not only are you hurting the business you're working for and the business culture that they're trying to create, but in the long run, it's really just self-inflicted misery. So that's my opinion on that. The other lens I try to look through is people and relationships. So we have relationships at work, at home, and in the community. And I think, again, on the surface, we may look at those and be like, well, what does that have to do with my productivity? Believe it or not, they're very much intertwined. So I don't think I would ever say I want to have a productive marriage. It's kind of a weird way of saying it. I don't know if my wife would appreciate that. But I do want to make sure that I'm meeting my wife's needs and that she's happy in our relationship. And I do that because I love her and I'm committed to her, but there's benefits as well. For me, my number one love language is affirmation. It seems kind of self-centered. I don't know, but it's true. And so when my wife is affirming me and I'm meeting her needs and we just have a great relationship, I'm more productive. I mean, think about it. If you are having trouble in your marriage or in a friendship, it can really preoccupy your mind, and trust me, you're not going to be as productive. And so relationships have a big part of how productive we are. And so once again, we kind of have to ask, well, what's so Christian about that? Well, in part, it's obedience. I mean, think of John 13:34. I know you've heard this verse before. Jesus says, "A new commandment I give to you. Love one another just as I have loved you." And that makes me think about how Jesus has loved me unconditionally despite my sin, my faults, my distractions. And so if Jesus loves me that much, how can I not love others the same way? And so once again, our relationships become an act of worship to God, an act of obedience to God. And God knows exactly what he's doing, because when those relationships are as they should be, we are a better person as a result. We become a better leader, we become somebody that people want to be around, and we become productive. So as a Christian, ask yourself, how can I become productive for the glory of God? It's definitely a unique question, but one that will give you good reason to pursue productivity. But to be productive, you need a good tool to get organized. Watch this next video about Notion, an absolutely beautiful and completely free productivity tool.